the Renault AustralE. This is the Alpine version, or Alpine, which means it has a lot of equipment in there. This is a mild hybrid. It's got a small battery, 1.7 kilowatt hours. It's got a 3-cylinder, 1.2 liter gas engine and also an electric engine. And together they've got 147 kilowatts, or, well, 200 horsepower. If you look at this car from pretty much any angle, from the front you've got these really cool lights and the front mask, from the side the profile and the wheels, from the back the light and the diffuser, and also especially with this really interesting lovely color, I think it really looks very good, and it's a threat to the more expensive cars with its looks.
The AustralE offers a mild as well as a full hybrid. The former uses a 1.3-liter 4-cylinder gas engine with 119 kilowatts or 160 horsepower, while the latter a 1.2 3-cylinder with a total of 149 kilowatts or 200 horsepower.
The AustralE certainly looks the part inside. It's kind of like a polarizing thing, I suppose, because my colleague is quite critical of the look. He said the instruments are Mercedes because, you know, it's just a rectangle. And then you've got the Tesla infotainment screen with the portrait screen, and then you've got a Volkswagen with the straight lines. But I'm not really so critical. I actually quite like it. The instrument cluster has very nice graphics. It looks very good. The only problem is there's not much you can really put on it. It's completely useless in a way, apart from showing you the speed and your maybe fuel consumption, or if you click the view button to see the navigation. But most of the views are completely pointless. There's not much on them. Even the analog, so to speak, instruments have nothing on them. It's just, there's no numbers. So what is the point? But otherwise, there's quite a few features that I like the steering wheel is of an interesting shape. It's got nice materials in it. We've got soft touch on the doors. We've got some pleather on the doors as well. And down here, we've got soft touch on the dashboard. Well, yeah, soft touch. We've got pleather, more pleather on the dashboard, and so on and so forth. So it is quite nice. Also, the seats look pretty cool. Although, you know, there's little things here and there that sort of throw me off. For example, this, I don't know if you can hear it. This seat rubs against the center console constantly, and it squeaks, and it's driving me mad. And I don't really understand why they couldn't do something about that, because the actual seatbelt thing does have a little bit of felt or whatever it is to prevent that from happening, but the seat constantly squeaks. Stop it! Something I considered a really huge positive on this car is the actual head-up display. Compared to the other brands, it's about medium size, maybe a little bit small by today's standards, but really that is nothing to complain about because the graphics are very nice, crisp, it's perfectly in focus and gives you the information you need. There's nothing, you know, unneeded up there. It's very nice. I like that very much, and in a way it's almost required because, like I said before, the actual instrument cluster is so useless. So what about the hybrid system, the mild hybrid? The whole point of a mild hybrid system is to save up a little bit of fuel, to lower your fuel consumption, to give you maybe a little bit more of an oomph, Because what Renault did with their e-tech stuff is interesting. It doesn't really have, the internal combustion engine does not have a clutch. So this means that you can only really take off with the electric motor. If in the case that the electric battery would go completely flat, you're done. You cannot start the internal combustion engine and then drive off. It's not possible because, again, there's no clutch, and well, that's just how it works. So the whole point of their system is a little bit more than a mild hybrid, even though this is not a plug-in hybrid, so you cannot charge it, and it's got a fairly small battery. But the whole point is that it gives you that extra oomph in cities when you need it, and helps the internal combustion engine. But this actually works even more like a half-half thing, a hybrid, because it'll charge up the battery and then just drive on the electric motor as long as it can, and then charge up the battery again with the help of the internal combustion engine. So you're constantly switching every, like 30 seconds to a minute. In theory, that sounds pretty good, right? In practice, however, I find a few very strange choices. One of them, well, first of all, this is a 3-cylinder engine. And let's ignore the fact that I don't like 3-cylinder engines. But the fact that this engine will really only turn on when the battery needs charging or you need more power to get somewhere, which means that this engine will always be under relatively significant load, which also means that it'll be fairly loud. Now, it's not screaming loud or anything, but because it's a 3-cylinder engine, you get this annoying sound. You're driving on electricity, nice and quiet, and then all of a sudden, because that frickin' generator comes on. Well, it's not really a generator only, it also drives a car. But I feel like if it only had one extra cylinder to have a nice 4-cylinder engine, this would be so much nicer. So much nicer. The second thing that bothers me is the way it changes between electric only and then internal combustion and charging the battery mode. It does that all automatically. You don't have to worry about it. You just put it into drive and you're driving. That's it. You don't have to worry about anything else. But when you're driving normally, let's say at 50 kilometers an hour, and you even use the limiter, so you're constantly at the same speed, and suddenly the car just judders. And you're like, what the hell's happening? Oh, it's changed over to the internal combustion engine. And then again, 20 seconds later, oh, it's changed back to just electric. It's like 90% of its changes between modes are rough. I don't understand why. Probably because of that lack of clutch, but it's rough and it's annoying. So the fuel consumption, right now, the average fuel consumption is 6.1 liters per 100 kilometers. Now, I'm absolutely sure you could get this much lower if you were driving carefully and, let's say, mostly in cities and roads like these. But because this average fuel consumption is a total of probably quite a few people, and well, people like to drive these cars like they stole them. So that's not quite, indicative of normal, regular driving. But, like I said, this is okay. 6.1, I would have expected a lower fuel consumption. But the thing is, while you're driving on electric only, obviously your fuel consumption is 0. And then the generator kicks in, and even if you're going something slow like 50 kilometers per hour, your instant fuel consumption will go up to about 18 to 20 liters per 100 kilometers of instant fuel consumption. So, you know, it kind of evens out. But 6.1, I suppose it's not too bad considering how many people drove it in, you know, whatever way. I'm driving it reasonably economically, and I managed to get it from 6.2 to 6.1. In the end, I like this car. There's a lot of good things about it. The steering wheel, the fork control is quite interesting because it's, you know, the car is more agile as a result because the rear wheels are turning as well. The stuff inside I quite like. My colleague doesn't. But then you've got a lot of these weird choices or, you know, things that are weird, just strange. The instrument cluster completely useless unless you're using navigation on it. The projection head-up display is excellent. I really like that. The seats are okay. They're not the most comfortable, but they're not uncomfortable. The materials are quite nice. The infotainment is very nice graphically. It's quite useful as well. The glove compartment doesn't quite seem to fit. I tried closing it fully, but you know, there's like a seam and I don't know, it's a bit wonky. And it's just this 3-cylinder thing. You might have heard it now, I was probably talking over it, but you're driving nicely and then all of a sudden the 3-cylinder kicks in. Just give me 4 cylinders. Is it really that much more expensive?
The Austral with a mild hybrid starts at 28,000 euros. The full hybrid model at just over 38,000 euros, and a fully equipped one will cost you just over 48,000 euros.